Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.
Welcome everybody to the 13th podcast, Blacks in Technology podcast. Tonight we have a returning guest, Kai Dupe. If anyone listened to the last podcast we had with them, Kai is an author, software engineer, technology trainer, speaker, and mentor. And he also runs the website Where Are Blacks in Technology. So we have Kai on here again tonight to discuss BITWise. So we want to welcome Kai on here. Thanks for joining us again, Kai. Appreciate you coming back on.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So let's get a brief background about you and about the things that you're involved in, and then we'll get to talk about BITWise.
Okay.
Just a brief rundown where you're from and what your background is, things like that.
Okay, brief biographical sketch. I'm from San Antonio, Texas, born and raised, and all of my background is in computer science and technology. So I came up through high school and went the traditional route to becoming back in the day, what they called a data processor or a computer programmer analyst. So I went and got a degree in computer science, and I spent the next 25 years as a software developer, and I continue to do that today. But what has happened here in the last, say, 5 years is I've taken on this role of sort of African-American or community of color tech evangelist, where I do a lot of public speaking and writing and blogging and connecting and networking around the issues of surrounding the digital divide, digital equity, integrating technology into learning, education, and all those areas where, if you're paying attention, black folks are considered right now to be in dire straits in terms of where we are in terms of digital participation, where we are in terms of academic achievement, which technology is a huge part of that, which is seeping in, and we're not really paying attention to that. And so for the last 5 years or so, I've been trying to take my experience as someone who's actually worked in IT for a long period of time as a black person. I know that you share that as well. And also my education and my experiences. And I went back to school about 5 years ago to get a master's degree in education, so I would have some credibility in educational circles as well. So my efforts today are primarily focused around that advocacy or that evangelical work, where I'm trying to let our people know, inform our people, speak to them, connect with them, so that they can know what the options are and how critical it is that we engage in these new digital literacies.
Excellent. And what's the response been like, as far as when you go and you speak to these groups? What reactions are you getting from the people? Are they basically? Are they kind of down with it, or are they kind of like, I still don't do computers?
It depends on the group. If I'm speaking to young people, our young people, I don't really seek them out. I'm trying to speak to everyone because I feel like if everybody from 8 to 80 understood what's at stake and understood what they could do, they can leverage technology in a way that it doesn't matter that they're 80. You can be sitting at home and have what I call a retirement, and you're making money from your website. But the young people usually are much more open to it. Their problem is the issues or the challenges are most of the time folks aren't talking to them. They're not aware of these options. They're not aware of the opportunities that are there in IT or computer science. I was speaking talking to a teacher at a school recently, and she told me that she graduated from college 6-7 years ago. She said the technology they had at her school 7 years ago, at her high school, was better than what she has today in the classroom as a teacher.
Wow.
So a lot of times when I come into a school or a church or a community organization, it's a breath of fresh air to them to hear about some of these things, and they're very responsive. And even sometimes when I speak to older folks or middle-aged folks like myself, they're open to it too. As long as you can connect them with something that they care about and show them how they can use technology in a way that benefits them or that's relevant to them, which is one of my big points and one of the things I'm trying to do out here. There's a lot of talk about African Americans or black folks are just not interested in IT, and I like to say unequivocally that's absolutely not true. We've had some game run on us, and we've had some conditioning done to us that you may be able to say, well, look, see, young Kai isn't interested in technology, but you don't point out that you send him certain messages and not expose him to the same technology you expose others to, and then you say, look, see, he's not interested. So that's one of the things one of the myths I'm trying to clean up, and that is we're very much interested, just like everyone else, given the same opportunity and given the same messages, the same positive messages about technology.
Gotcha. One of the things that I've always, and this is me thinking, kind of in my head, is how do we reach those that, what's a good way of putting this, that would not normally be interested? What I mean by that is, if you go and you talk to, say, a group of students, and there's going to be people in there that have been waiting for you to come and speak to them. They, if you know what I mean, they want somebody to kind of reach out to them because they actually are interested in the back of their mind. They just don't know how to, get over that hump or even seeking out a mentor to help them out. But what about those individuals, whether it's, teenagers or whether it's, some people in their 20s, how do you approach them as far as saying, hey, you need to look at technology as well, like as a viable career option, and not think that it can't be for you?
Well, the first thing I do, and I gave a presentation on this a couple of years back at Rush College in Mississippi, Holly Springs, Mississippi, at a National African American Leadership Summit. And the title of my presentation was Making Technology Relevant. And it doesn't really matter whether it's technology or social studies or history or mathematics. You have to make what it is you're trying to convey to that person relevant to them. Why should they care about it? That's the key. Mm-hmm. For example, when I was in high school, I remember asking those questions, and I think the onus is on the teacher, the instructor, the professor to be able to answer those questions. You shouldn't be, if you're teaching me algebra, and I say, well, I don't see why I need this, it's your job to show me how I need it. I'm not just out here learning stuff willy-nilly, just, everything is for me to learn. How does it benefit me? You look at young children, how they learn, how they navigate life and figure out what's what. They're trying to figure out things that affect them on a day-to-day basis. And it's the same with anyone else, So the first thing I try to do is tap into whoever I'm speaking to. So if I'm speaking to a group of people who share a commonality, like they're football players, for example, I'll speak to football first. And then I'll talk about how you can be a better football player using technology, a better basketball player using technology, a better rapper using technology, a better video gamer using technology. So that's the way I do it, and it reminds me of, I used to watch, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, for life, really, and when they had Coach Parcells, I used to listen to all his press conferences, and he's considered a master motivator, and one of the things he always said was, even his ex-player said, he gets to know the player, and then he treats each one differently based on what their interests are, what buttons to push, what they're into. If they're a family person, he talks up family with them. If they're out there single, he talks up different stuff with them. And then he tells them how what they bring to the table and their lifestyle, what they're doing, how we're going to make that work so you can be a contributor on this football team and we can go forward and win a championship. So that's a big part of it to me. And it's along the same lines of, people having different learning styles. They have different ways they process information. Now we're trying to get into how they select what they want to process.
Gotcha. And I think I'm a big basketball fan. I think John Wooden actually used that same philosophy as well.
I love John Wooden.
Yeah, he basically said, everybody's not the same, so I'm not going to treat everybody exactly the same. Everybody's different. So let's talk about BITWise. Well, first, let's go back a little bit. What organizations are you a part of that you go out and you talk about and things like that?
Oh man, it's too many to name. I'm a member of a lot of organizations.
Okay.
Name a few.
Yeah.
ACM, Association of Computer Machinery. AERA, the Association of Educational Research Association. AERA is the big research organization. And then What else do you have? I'm a member of ISTE. I'm a member of ACSD, which is Association of Curricular Supervision and Development. A lot of educational or technology-related organizations.
Are you a member? Is there a BDPA chapter down in Houston?
BDPA, I remember BDPA as well. And there's not any chapters down here, which is ridiculous. You know, I've been trying to get them to revitalize them, and I haven't been so very successful. I lived in Austin recently, and now I live in Houston. Both chapters are defunct, and so
wow,
that's a bad thing when you have you got like 6 universities in the Houston area, and Austin you got UT, and Austin is like becoming a new tech hub, and there's no presence there in terms of African Americans in technology, which really is a crime. So, I mean, I remember, I have so many organizations I'm involved, I can't even keep track of them, man. I get emails 24/7 from ASCD, and I'm also a member of KDP, Kappa Delta Pi, which is a educational honor society. I'm a member of, TCEA, which is the Texas Computer Education Association.
Wow.
I've written for their publications and spoke at some of their events. It's a lot. As a matter of fact, I started to kind of palm down because I'm really now starting to look really heavily at or intently at am I really benefiting from all of them? Because as time has gone on, my focus has been honed a little more clearly. And I have to say, most of the stuff I'm getting from the educational end is very, very good, and I'll probably maintain those. And then I have another couple of groups that I'm involved in, not necessarily technology or education.
Got you. Have you given any thought to writing a book? You seem like
actually, I am writing a book right now.
Okay.
It's called The Dissertation. No,
I got you.
I'm just kidding. But I started the book about 2 years ago, and it's still on my computer. And it's like the first order of business the minute I graduate with my degree is to finish that book, because as time goes on, people come in and their books get published on the topic that I'm writing on, and so I have to adjust. But at the same time, I'm also growing, and so I have much more to say. So my book will be about 125 pages. I'm not going to tell you what it's about yet, but I'm about halfway there, and it's going to be smoking, because I think that there are a lot of books out there that claim at a certain arena, a certain topic, and they really aren't doing the job that the title suggests. I know that because I've read them, and which led me to decide to write my own book. And it's not going to have, I may have a chapter on technology, but it won't be a tech book. It'll be a more well-rounded book.
Okay. So let's talk about BITWise. Tell us what it is and how you're involved.
Okay. Well, BITWise is something that just kind of fell in my lap. I had been thinking about starting a nonprofit organization for a while, and just like the book, hadn't had time to do it. And then throughout my research around why there's so few African-American males involved in computing, I discovered a lot of different social factors. There's a lot of stuff at play. It's not necessarily that we just we don't have the aptitude. It's mostly social constructs, and it's structural, and it's systemic. The way that we are kind of steered away from or not encouraged to go towards. And one of the number one things that has come out of that research is lack of a sort of a community of practice or a support group, which you're doing a great job with BIT Online, somewhere people can go and discuss and share and learn from each other from all different levels on the spectrum in terms of experience, leadership, years in the field, that kind of thing, how to traverse corporate America. Well, so my organization was going to be around sort of a networking type of focus. And a couple of years ago, I guess it was a couple of years ago, I spoke at Microsoft. Microsoft has a group called Blacks at Microsoft. And I think they have that, I think it's a company-wide initiative. It's part of their outreach and diversity. And I spoke at an event for Microsoft in Dallas about 2 years ago. And it was great. I had a good time. They brought in students from all over Dallas, about 300 students, maybe 200. And I spoke about technology. And then about 2 months later, they had an event called BITWise, which I found out about on LinkedIn. And through my connections at Microsoft, one of the guys told me, man, you got to come check this out. And it was designed as a networking group for black software engineers. And that blew my mind because in most cases when you see a focus on blacks in tech, it's a big gumbo. It's a big mix of everybody in tech.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but I think that there absolutely needs to be a place for the black software engineers, the people who are actually writing the code, because it's a different experience and it's a different journey. And I have never worked with another black male in my career. My wife laughs at me, well, it's just where you, it's just the places that you worked. And I'm like, well, I worked in a bunch of different places. So she has worked with some, but not like she went into an office and there were 40 of them, you know. you know. So after that event, they were telling me we're going to have another event. The next event's going to be in Austin in a few months, and we'd like you to get involved. And that event never happened. The time came and went, they never had the event. And then one day I got a phone call from someone at Microsoft saying, would you be interested in leading this group and getting this full-fledged status as a nonprofit? And although I don't have time to really do it, it's something that I am passionate about, totally engaged in, as I mentioned in my bio in the intro, and so I couldn't pass it up. And so I put together a small group, and we met with the Microsoft manager in Dallas last month, and so we've sort of taken over, and we're trying to revitalize BITWise. And the whole idea, and to get it started, we have to include not just software developers, we have to include everyone in tech.
Yeah.
And to get it started, we're having a big event June 24th in Austin, and it's going to basically be a big networking event. We're trying to get about 200 brothers there, sisters there, so they can meet, mingle, and know each other and have this connection in the industry. That's a huge thing, particularly in this day and age with social media and social connection. So that's what BITWise is. It's just getting started. We're going to have a big event June 24th, and I'll talk more about the event later. But, yeah, so that's what BITWise is and how I got involved. And my role is basically leading it.
Now, I do know because I actually joined the LinkedIn group of BITWise. I didn't even know about it. I joined it, and then I happened to find out that it's kind of an acronym. So can you tell us what the acronym, what it stands for?
Well, we sort of added the acronym part. I don't think it was that. I don't think the acronym was that.
Oh, okay. That's why I didn't initially know about it.
One of my team members came up with that, Blacks in Technology, working in software engineering, and the idea is so we won't exclude anyone, because I don't really know. I would love to know what the count is. I don't know how you find that out. How many African American, Black, or how many African American software engineers are there? I don't know how you find that number, but I know it's a small percentage. And I know we have a pipeline issue, and companies like Microsoft recognize that. And one of the great things about having them involved is they are a software development company. And so they absolutely understand what it is to be a software developer, what kinds of things are important to a software developer, because I've worked places where they don't get that. They don't understand that. You know, you're a software engineer, and you're dealing with someone who's used to working in a certain kind of culture, and they're always giving you problems, or they're always hurting your creativity, and you can't focus because they're trying to put you in a different model. And that's key. When you add BITWise to it, now you've got a company sponsoring us who understands the software developer, and you got me and my team bringing the Black software developer experience to that. And that I think is what BITWise has to offer.
Excellent. So I was recently kind of chastised a little bit by one of the members on our site. He's a software developer, and on our LinkedIn group there were some comments going back and forth, a small discussion about where are all the Black software developers on the site? And I kind of commented back like they're around, like some of them I don't think come out and they're not as active on the site. And me not being a software developer or engineer or anything like that, like I don't know how to cater the site to somewhat to attract them more. And he kind of got on me about that, but that had me thinking, because we're going through a site redesign right now. Is I want that the Black software engineer. I want the element on the site. So, some advice from you. What type of things would you like to see from a site like Blacks in Technology for Black software engineers?
That's an interesting question.
There were a couple of things that he said, as far as, more articles, kind of geared towards software engineering, maybe, because most of the people on the site are, into networking and things like that. And he was saying, like, more articles, maybe, some videos geared towards software engineering. What is something that you would want to see on there?
That's a great question. I have to think about that for a minute, and it's one of the things I'm struggling with. But I know, as someone, it's different for me because I've been in the game a little longer, so what I look for now is different than what I looked for when I was a younger guy. But the main thing I would like to see is other black software engineers, right? Okay. Another software engineer having a black software engineer having a voice on the site, or maybe someone writes a blog on the site. And because the thing is, the technology is the same. And we got to keep up with the technology. That's no problem. We can all do that. What's different is our experience and our take on what may be happening on a job or on a corporate site or even in a users group. Bring our perspective to it. And that's something you really don't see. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, I'll give you an example what I mean by that. I live in Houston. We have a lot of community newspapers, okay, and I get them all because I'm down with the community. And when I read them, the paper has the same story that's in the USA Today or the New York Times. Well, I already read the USA Today and the New York Times. I'm coming to you for the community perspective.
Yeah.
Let's say on Election Day, Obama won the election. That's in the New York Times and everybody's paper. And then you got the same story with it came from the same AP article.
Yeah.
Give me your slant as a black newspaper in the black community. That's what is missing. I don't get that in the New York Times. So that would be the first thing I would look for, and maybe something like, for example, in the black community we have these issues. How can we use technology to solve some of these issues that our people are faced with? Is there a way to use technology? Is there some software that does that? If not, how about some ideas where someone comes forth and says, we're writing this software to tackle these problems. And then that speaks to, because a big thing for me, and it took me a while to learn this as a developer before I had gotten kind of burned out, and that is the technology is the same. What makes you stick with the field and what makes it attractive is the problem solving. And what really gets me going is solving a problem that matters to me. So we're right back to the relevance. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've worked in companies where I'm solving problems in the insurance industry. Okay, I don't really care about insurance.
Yeah.
But if I was writing code that made an impact, let's say, to the folks in New Orleans who were affected by Hurricane Katrina, that's something that I care about. Now I'm using my skills and my time and my ability to do something that benefits people that has meaning for me. So that's the first kind of thing I'm gonna try to bring to BITWise, and I think you could bring to your site when you're trying to attract these folks. Because when you go to the typical sites, a Microsoft site or a certain blog, our perspective is not there. It's a very standard, straightforward, mainstream view. And that's what we kind of need to, I think we need to do that. That way we see it a certain way that it's speaking to us. And that's a big key to it. When you talk to some of these young people, they don't see people that look like us doing it. They don't see people that speak like them talking about it. And a site like yours, that's something different you can bring to it from a professional software developer standpoint in terms of African Americans. And I think getting to know other software developers like myself and the brother that commented to you about it is where that starts.
Yeah, and that just kind of got me thinking on maybe having a page on a site, geared towards that, maybe like Dev Corner or, something like that to kind of aggregate the software engineers that are on our site, because there are a few of them. A couple of them are quite active on the site. And I just want to, touch all aspects of technology and not just, the networking and hacker security side of it. I want to include the software engineers as well. And so when we got into that discussion, you kind of brought that to my attention. And started thinking like, you're right. And I kind of need to address that. So on the site redesign, go ahead.
And think about it this way. This is something I have played with doing, and I got older, never got a chance to do it. But, like someone like yourself who's already in networking, you pick up the software development skills, then you can go from A to Z.
Yeah.
And that is a bad man to be.
Yeah.
Someone that can set up a network, set up a database, design software, design database, design a network infrastructure, design security concerns, and build your one-stop shop. You can do everything. I've played with that sometimes. Sometimes the networking kind of bores me, but that was years ago before it got to be so sophisticated. When I was first learning networking, there was no veil. And, it was kind of like very routine. I was really just setting up, little pieces of software that ran client software on the node, and then it was connecting to the server. But it was really monotonous. But nowadays, that's a whole set of specialties. And I know nothing about stuff like Active Directory and routers. I have no idea. But if I was to learn that, because you go into the black community, to some of these small businesses, you'll see 6 or 7 computers in there, but they're not networked. Yeah. And they don't even understand why they should be networked. And so there's a great opportunity for us to go in there as technologists and serve these communities. There's no reason for a black company, small business to take their PC to Best Buy. We can crank our high schools through the A+ certifications. Boom, there you go. They set up a geek squad. I mean, we could do that. The times have changed. You don't have to cut grass anymore. Get 5 of your friends, go get an A+ certification, and go through the neighborhood with flyers. That's the kind of opportunity that's out there, and we can bring that to our community. That's my big thing. I want to see the community benefit from technology and from those of us who are out here who can bring that expertise to the community. And at this BITWise event, one of my main things is going to be the networking. We're also going to have some hands-on technology sessions. We're going to have a keynote speaker who is the Chief Information Officer for NASA, Linda Curtin. She's going to be there speaking, so people will be able to see also somebody reach the highest highs of the technology field and what she has to say about her journey, how she got there. That's very inspiring. We're also going to have technology presentations, some of the latest and greatest stuff from Microsoft and others. There'll be food, there'll be drinks, there'll be music. So it's going to be sort of like what Tom Joyner always talks about, a party with a purpose. I feel that's key, especially with our people, right? You can't just bring them somewhere and start teaching some technology when they just got off work. We're going to have a good time, but you're going to leave that with a takeaway, something that's going to improve your personal or professional life going forward in terms of what's new in technology, what's out there, what are the trends, and how are things moving.
Man, I really wish I could be there. Is this going to turn into an annual thing, or?
And it's free. It's going to be an annual thing. Not annual. We have another event in the next quarter. We're talking about doing that in North Carolina. Either North Carolina or Miami, we haven't decided yet, but North Carolina is on the short list. And the idea is to do 3 or 4 events, like 4 events each year, and we move around a different city. Once we get our nonprofit status and really get it going, we'll start setting up chapters. But it'll be a good collaboration for, I wanted your listeners to hear, any of your listeners who are in Texas, in Austin, Houston, San Antonio. I've been reaching out to them, doing radio spots and stuff. This is something that you don't want to miss. You want to get down with it in the beginning here while we're getting started, and help us build it up. And then we'll have a community to say, you know what, I'm experiencing this at work. Bring a topic on this. You do a presentation on this topic, and we'll get a brother or sister who is in the group who has experienced that to talk about it. Just like a users group, but with our flavor and bringing the perspective and the concerns that we have. And I know from my 25 years in the industry, I have definite things that I have experienced that I have to deal with. And I've talked to folks here lately as I built this group who have shared with me they're going through the same kinds of things. And I thought it was just me. So that's the kind of stuff I want to bring to the party so that a person like myself who struggled early in his career trying to navigate the terrain in corporate America as an IT person, and you can have someone help you as a younger person or even somebody mid-career to figure out how to continue to go instead of getting frustrated and kind of dropping out of the career.
That's excellent. Definitely consider a Midwest city for one of the stops, man, because I definitely would want to be a part of that, for sure.
We definitely will.
Yeah.
We're on the move right now. This event's going to be from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay.
And we're going to have registration set up so that people who are considering joining the group can do so right there at the site. And like I said, we're going to have academic presence there, colleges from the community. We're going to have other companies there, like we're talking to Dell. We're going to have job recruiters, college reps, community groups, like I said, food, fun. It's going to be everything, man. We're trying to get like 200-plus brothers and sisters there. So you got a chance to talk to folks about jobs, about their programs. And that, to me, like I said, that's key because a lot of times our young people don't even know that these are careers. And so we're talking to schools to get people to come from schools from Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio to come to this event. And it's June 24th.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I've used the phrase quite often. FaceTime is what we need more of, because if these kids can't relate to us, if they can't somehow see themselves performing these jobs, being in this career field, then they're going to be lost. They're not going to know that this is something for them. So they need to see our faces. They need to hear our voices, which is one of the reasons, or the main reason, why I started Blacks in Technology, and one of the reasons why I want to eventually have an online video tech show.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. So, is there a website, a URL for BITWise?
We have a URL. It is wearebitwise.org, and right now that's housing our blog. And I'm going to be the one writing, so now I got to write 2 blogs for now, anyway. And that's fine. I got plenty to say on this topic. And so the URL is www.wearebitwise.org.
Excellent.
We also have a presence on Facebook.
Okay.
We also have a presence on Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn, and we're on Twitter at @WeAreBitWise.
I'll definitely
and I'm
get connected with you on both of those. And
Eventbrite as well, because we're having you register on Eventbrite, but it's still a free event, but that's how we're going to track our attendees.
Okay. And I'm definitely going to be picking your brain sometime in the future. It's simply because this is something that I eventually want to get into, or I want to do for the community as well, is have a Blacks in Technology event, something annual that we can put on. So once you get up and going, I'll be knocking on your door asking for some advice. So.
Well, what's interesting about it is, like I said, I was planning on starting an event, but there's a whole, not an event, but a nonprofit, and there's a whole learning curve for me here. And so I don't know anything about running a nonprofit, but I built a board, a small 5-member board, and we all have different experiences. Some of us are tech, some are not. I wanted the board to be diverse. I wanted some women on the board. I wanted some tech folks on the board, some people who run organizations, some people who are more business-oriented, entrepreneurs. I wanted some people on the board who are in academia. And for me, I mean, I'm just the kind of brother I am. If I don't know how to do something, I go learn. So I went out and bought me a nonprofit kit for dummies book.
There you go.
and some of my first programming books were, basic for dummies or whatever. So
don't
pick up the pace and read everything in the market.
Yeah, don't sleep on the dummies books at all.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I'm learning as I go, and the way I feel about it is that's going to be great for me. And then when you're ready, I can help you. I'm on a couple other boards, and there's another lady who's running another board in Austin, and she just started up her organization, and I was just helping her out. So I learned a lot by being on that board, and so a lot of that experience helped me as well. So by the time you're ready to go, and the big thing is money, right? Most people talk about these groups, they have a hard time getting the money, although money right now is just everywhere for STEM and tech. But when Microsoft said they would sponsor it and help us for 5 years to get this thing going, I couldn't turn away from that. So I'm gonna take a shot at it.
Man, that sounds excellent, man. Congratulations on that falling in your lap, and like I said, hopefully you get something close here. If you get something in North Carolina, man, I'm there. That's
you're in Philly, right?
I'm sorry.
You're in Philly?
No, I'm in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so North Carolina,
Midwest.
Yeah.
Chicago would be hot. We did some in Chicago.
Oh yeah, that was my first my first thought when I brought that up is Chicago would be nice. But even if it's in North Carolina, that's not that far. I mean, it's a nice drive, but I would make that drive to come in and be part of that. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, or just mention, not really talk about, but I want to try to form some type of relationship with wearebitwise.org, so that our websites are linked together and that people on our site know about your site, especially for the site redesign. So I just want to put that out there and put that bug in your ear, because once the site redesign gets underway or gets finished, it's already underway. But when it's done, I definitely want to form some type of relationship between the two sites.
Oh, absolutely.
Both of us could definitely benefit.
Absolutely, that's the name of the game. I mean, at some point, we should all know each other. And I'm connecting with folks every day, and I'll meet somebody, and they'll say, Greg Green. I go, yeah, I know Greg, but we never met face-to-face. Yeah. And Mario Armstrong or Lisette Teacher. Have you had Lisette on yet?
No, I haven't.
Do you know who Lisette Teacher is?
No, I don't.
Lisette, L-I-S-E-T-T-E. She was on the cover. I interviewed her on my blog talk show. She was on the cover of Black Enterprise like 2 months ago. She's a game developer or game animator, video game animator.
Really?
And yesterday she was on Mario Armstrong, and I kind of teased him. I said I got to her first. But her name is Lisette. If you go look on my Facebook, she has her own page as well, and I'm sure she would love to come on, and I think it would be great for the site for one of your podcasts. She's African-American, and she's a sister, and she works for, I think, EA Sports.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was breaking me down, and I was talking to her. I've never, when I got into programming, but in some ways I've kind of let my skills wane. I didn't have a real interest in video game programming. It kind of came out of nowhere to me because I never did play the games. But now it's a big deal, and everybody has degrees in it. And she was on the cover of Black Enterprise. If you find her on Facebook, she used to have her cover of the Black Enterprise on her as a profile picture. I'll send you a link or something if you can't find it. If you can't find it,
I'll definitely seek her out. It's funny that you said that about gaming because I was just reading an article the other day about the creators of Farmville. What's that company's name? Zynga? Have you heard of them?
Zynga. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, and they're like huge. And that's all they do is make these, games for, and they present them on Facebook. And they're a $1 billion company.
Yeah, see, that's another example of what you were saying about how would you reach out to the black software developers. One of the things I've read in my research is that I think it's Georgia Tech. They're doing this big thing with African American males and video games to get them introduced to STEM education and get them involved in technology because they noticed, and what I mentioned before about meeting folks where they are. Young black males are all over video games. So instead of trying to take them from what they're doing to make them do technology or education technology, they leave them where they are, which is and show them how learning how to program a video game is even more fun. You can actually affect what you're doing, and that's, from what I understand, quite successful. So that's the kind of thing you could put on the site too, as well. I didn't even know. I mean, they have degrees in this stuff now, and it's such a different paradigm from what I'm used to in programming. It would be, I'd have to almost start all over, I would think. But I am looking at, right now, one of the new things I'm doing is developing for Windows Phone 7. That caught my eye. Okay. I tried the iPhone stuff for a minute, and it's kind of foreign to me. I'm mostly a Microsoft developer. And when I saw Windows Phone 7 come out, I started looking at the .NET stuff. That's way more up my alley. And so I'm doing some research there now. Got the laptop, got the Windows Phone 7. I'm all over that. Got the book.
Gotcha. Well, it's funny. I was at a BDPA meeting yesterday, and it was about programming, or it was about programming applications for mobile phones. And the presenter was talking about the platforms that are most popular, the Android and the iOS, and he kind of really didn't even mention Windows 7. He mentioned it in passing, like, Windows 7, yeah, but...
Well, that's how I took it, too. That's why I was playing with the iPhone for a while. But Windows Phone 7, you know how, Microsoft is kind of interesting like that. They'll be kind of in the background for a minute, and all of a sudden, they release something like IE and wipe off everybody off the planet, browsers off the planet. And so they have, it seems to me, they've made a real effort to make their phone a player after several missteps. And this new one, and the new IDE and the new tools for developing for it, which is basically Silverlight and Windows Presentation Foundation, looks like it's going to be in the mix. And there'll be Android, iOS, what else is there? Android, iOS, BlackBerry, RIM.
Yeah.
I think Windows Phone they'll get a share.
It seems to me like if they play their cards right, they can actually position themselves to take over the market share that BlackBerry owns right now, simply because if it's a Windows phone, a Windows platform, if it's integrating with Windows applications, then there's no reason why business people shouldn't adopt that.
Exactly.
Because it's already in your business. And if you could do certain things, like if they can develop some things such as what BlackBerry does with the BlackBerry Enterprise server to be able to control security, lock down the phone, send down applications to the phone, they could really position themselves in a good place.
Absolutely. It's like having Windows in your pocket. That's the idea.
Yeah, exactly.
And a company like BlackBerry is going to be challenged because they really aren't that type of company. You know what I mean? They're more, to me anyway, they're more like a device company, and they're trying to play catch up. Well, Microsoft is a software development company, and so all they have to do is figure out how to put their stuff on a different platform, and they've done that. Well, for BlackBerry, to me anyway, writing apps is something that's new for them. And now, in order for your phone to compete, apps is really the thing. Nobody really talks about, it's a much clearer reception. Nobody really talks about that. They talk about that you can't get this app on this phone, or this phone can't do this from an app standpoint, or it can't do video and that kind of thing. And, if you get Windows on the phone, you automatically are opening up anything most things that can run on Windows onto the phone. That's kind of powerful. So I went out and bought a Windows phone just to check it out, and although initially it still has, to me, usability issues compared to the iPhone, that's just genius. You got to learn how to use a Windows phone. At least the one I purchased. And it's kind of annoying in that way. But, you get over that hump like you do with everything else, and now it's just about getting some apps on the phone that are appealing to people. And this right now is like a second gold rush because there aren't any apps. I was talking to a friend of mine who works for a mobile platform development company, and he was telling me that folks are starting to ask for Windows Phone applications, but there are no developers.
Wow.
So how's that for a market to get into at a time when African-American unemployment is in double digits?
Yeah.
That's my thing. That's one of the things I get so tired of hearing. We're so unemployed. It's like, you're still trying to do the same kind of jobs. Everything is moving. Did you hear the comments that Jesse Jackson made about the iPad?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm not gonna get into it. That's not the subject.
Oh,
but
okay.
If you check my blog,
I'll check it out.
Yeah, check my blog out. It was like the second to last post I wrote, and where he basically said that the iPad is costing Americans jobs, and why would you go to Borders and buy a book when you can just download it from iTunes and read it on your iPad?
You know what? I did catch wind of that. I didn't look into it, but I caught wind of that. And you know what? I didn't even realize who said it. I didn't read into it that much, but I caught wind.
It was Jesse Jackson Jr.
Oh, okay. It was, wow.
And not that he's wrong. I mean, it is costing jobs, but that is, in my mind, the epitome of an attitude that we have to get rid of.
Yeah, because that should be opening doors.
Exactly.
The thing we need to be teaching is more of an entrepreneurial spirit. And if you have that, we can get that and hone that and show these kids and adults that, hey, this is not a door closing, this is a door opening. I think we can overcome that, but we like you said, we have to get out of that mentality.
I absolutely agree. I was a little harsh on the brother on my blog, but Not really him. It's the idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The idea that he was promoting, and I'm worried about whether Apple is building their iPads in the United States, and whether I can go. I'm glad Amazon came online. When I lived in Dallas, I had to drive 45 miles to a black bookstore to buy certain books. Then Amazon came online, and boom, click, 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 it's at my front door. You think I'm mad about that? Yeah, some bookstores closed because of that. But that's also because they didn't go with the flow, sort of like Blockbuster, So like some of these companies that don't continue to innovate and they don't grow, and then they let somebody come up behind them and innovate them out of their market share. That's the name of the game. So I'm not mad at Apple. I'm happy that they've created an entire economy around these apps and these mobile devices. People are making big money making cases for iPads and writing applications for iPads and all kind of, the whole cottage accessory industry is based off the iPhone and iPad. Come on, man. And we're talking about, we are upset that they are causing Borders to close their doors. Last time I checked, Borders were selling books long before there was an iPad. Why did they create such a device?
Exactly. Yeah. There was we had a gentleman on the podcast. His name was Aaron Colley. He's actually, I can't remember what part of Africa he's from natively, but he's from Africa. And real smart brother, man. He's into technology, but his real main focus is economics. And we had a real good discussion about how the global economy, on the way it's moving, and people are seeing it as the door closing, because they're shipping jobs overseas and everything like that. And he was basically saying, like, no, this is a door opening. We need to realize that the global economy, the shift and the way that it's moving, it's going to help us. If put on your entrepreneurial thinking cap and realize that because you can, get maybe cheaper labor over somewhere else, this is your chance now for you to jump in the game and become a business owner. If you can produce something for a lot cheaper overseas, A, why wouldn't big businesses do it? And B, how come you can't do it? Now you can do that and provide, an economy for, maybe a third world country and boost their economy at the same time, making yourself a business owner.
I absolutely agree. And it's one of the things that I loved about computing when I first got into it. I never did this, but the idea that I could take an idea in my head, spend some time in front of the computer, create some software. Now I have a product to sell, something that wasn't in existence before I created it. That was always sexy and exciting to me. And now, that was in 82 when I was in college. Now, it's that 200 times fold, 200 times the entrepreneurial opportunity and the technologies that are at your disposal to create something. And oftentimes, in most cases, that technology is free. It's free. To go and develop a Windows Phone application costs you nothing. You can get the tools to develop for free. Same thing with Apple. Now, if you want to get it and put it in that store, I think they charge you $100 to sign up as a developer, and Apple's the same thing, and then you put it on their store. But you don't need to go out and buy the software development tool. So if you have a computer and you download the software development tool, most of the stuff to help you learn how to do it is online in terms of guides and that kind of thing, and you're in business. You are in business. What else is like that? You can't do that with most other fields. And so now, when you put your shingle up, so to speak, you're selling to the world. If I put a Windows Phone, mobile phone 7 app on the marketplace, the whole world can buy that. I had a friend of mine that I met through the blog. She is an Android developer, and I interviewed her on my radio show. And she came out with a Mother's Day app for the Android. And she told me about it, and I posted about it on my blog. And she said she got like 1,500 downloads. And she knows it was because I posted on my blog. I'm like, oh, really? Well, that's great. But think about that. So all of a sudden, I think the app was 99 cents. She got $1,600 in her pocket, or probably a little less. She get 70% in that model with Apple. Or with Android, I don't know what Android's model is. Maybe she did get it on with Android. Because one of the things I know is the Android model is cheaper. Everything is free. She went to a Google conference. she went to a Google conference in the Silicon Valley a couple weeks ago, and they gave her a free Chromebook, a free Android phone, and also a free tablet as part of her conference attendance. And she's developing now for the tablet as well. And so these opportunities, she told me, she wrote me and said, I was at this conference, and maybe there were 30 black people there out of 5,000. A place where you can get free software, free hardware, and be taught.
How many people?
5,000.
And how many black people?
40. And they were giving away, and I think the event cost her $400. She got a free tablet, a free phone, a free Chromebook, which is their new like netbook model.
The netbook, yeah.
And she was telling me, I was like, man, I said I won't miss that. It's called the Google I/O conference. I never even heard of it. I won't miss it next year. Now I have a couple folks down in Silicon Valley who I connect with through my blog, and they come on my show every now and again. And so I got some people down there with their eyes and ears open about what's going on. And, Silicon Valley, we're underrepresented there as well. San Jose Mercury News had an article out a couple of months ago about how in a part of the country where it's heavily populated with Latinos and African Americans, and where most tech companies are, our numbers in those fields in the last 5 years have declined. Latinos and African Americans' numbers have declined in the Silicon Valley. Now, part of that is not necessarily hiring practices. Part of it is we aren't there to take the jobs.
Yeah.
We're not getting the degrees. So we definitely have a pipeline issue. And so communities like you, what you're building and work I'm trying to do with BITWise, and I've connected with other brothers here recently over the last year or so, we need more and more and more of that so that when we do go to speak to these young people or even people who made careers, who want to change careers, that they aren't, this isn't the first time they've heard this stuff. I have a neighbor, the guy just moved into my next door to me a couple weeks ago. He's now doing VMware for a living, doing quite well as a tech consultant, doing VMware virtualization, and it's his third career. He just got involved a few years ago.
Wow.
And he's doing very, very well. So, it's very lucrative, it's very flexible, and nowadays most jobs I look for, they got to allow me to work from home. I got to be home. I can't travel as much. I'll do it. I'll travel, but I can't do it as much as I used to. So that's lifestyle is something we can also sell to young African Americans who are looking for careers and not really considering computing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, so I think we definitely need to we need to come together with BITWise and Blacks in Technology and definitely make something happen on a more unified front, man. I think it'll be beneficial for both organizations.
Absolutely. We set up a YouTube channel as well. We're going to start doing weekly video casts where we kind of like a news address, maybe a couple every other week. And we're going to start doing like an address. We talk about what's going on or show some video footage from something we're doing that's related to BITWise and that kind of thing. Because one of the things I like to do is I like to go out and travel and network with other groups. And since I started BITWise, I connected with a couple of groups I'd never even heard of. I'm somebody in all kind of organizations. Have you ever heard of the Association of Information Technology Professionals?
No.
And they got chapters all over. They got one in Austin. They got one in Houston. I never heard of them. I'm at an event, and I ended up speaking for BITWise and met someone who was really involved in AITP. I never heard of him. And then last week, another guy I connected with, his name is Anwan Simmons. You might want to get him on as well. I can connect you with him. He's doing the keynote for an event coming up in June for another group called, I think it's the National Black Information Technology Leadership Organization. They're having a conference in Miami in June, and I decided to go, man, because I'm going to go and meet these folks, because you don't see this a lot. I went to a BDPA conference one time in D.C., I think it was 2008, and it was beautiful. It was thousands of black people there, and they were all talking about networking and programming and project management and QA. It was the bomb. And I'm going to their conference this year as well because I'm going to be interviewing some of their board of directors for my dissertation research. So I'll be there for sure. I think it's in Chicago, right?
BDP, yeah, the BDPA
Are you going?
conference. I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to try to make it.
Oh man, you gotta make that. Have you been to one before? Have you been to one of the big conferences, the national conference?
No, I haven't.
Oh man.
And I want to make this upcoming year, starting with that conference, like the year that I start attending a lot of these conferences. Some things have, worked out pretty well in my favor, and I think that it's that time.
Well, I hope you make it, man, because my memories of the BDPA conference, I went there really to speak. I wasn't really planning to get involved in all the activities.
Yeah.
And they had Willie Jolly as the keynote speaker. He was awesome. And at the time, I was pushing Second Life. So I wanted to make sure our people knew about these virtual environments. And so I did like 6 presentations to their youth groups. And then I sat in on some seminars, and they were fantastic. And they have an entrepreneurial piece. I met Earl Pace, who's the founder of BPA. I sat right next to him in an entrepreneurial presentation. And, I mean, the quality of the event, the way it was organized, the parties, everything, and it was in D.C., but I never even felt the need to leave the hotel.
Wow.
I have friends in D.C.
Yeah.
It was that great.
Yeah,
it was that great. So if you can make it, I recommend it.
Yeah, I definitely plan on going. I think it's, when is it? Is it August? August?
I think it's August 8th through 11th.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
that networking is something you can just, you meet the right folks, make them aware of your organization, because we all need to be linked, BDPA, Blacks in Technology, BITWise. It all should be linked, and
I agree.
And we can all learn from each other. It'd be like a community of practice of the community of practices.
I like that. I definitely like that. Well, hey, Kai, I appreciate you coming on again, man. Appreciate you taking your time out to talk with our community about the things that you're involved in. Definitely wish you the best of luck, man. And once you get that book done, well, even before then, we definitely want to have you back on the podcast, but especially when you get that book done.
No problem, man. And thanks for having me. And if any of your listeners are in Texas or even outside of Texas and are interested in attending, they can check my Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Kai Dupe, or they can hit me on Twitter at We Are BITWise, or hit me on the blog at wearebitwise.org, and I'll get information to them because we want everybody in the surrounding areas. And if they want to come down from Cincinnati or some other part of the country, that's cool too.
Excellent. And one more time, what's the date on that?
June 24th.
Okay.
It's a Friday evening.
Okay.
From 5 to 10.
Well, great. Again, thanks for your time, and I appreciate you coming on, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Likewise, brother. Take care.
All right. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.